They found her kneeling in the dirt behind the old opera house, wrists bleeding, mouth stuffed with a rag of ripped silk. The midday sun blazed on her hair like flames, and the grime on her face blended with her tears. She didn't have a moment to conceal herself. Lila Kane had been fleeing all morning, pursued by thugs who grinned when they cornered her. Inside the tavern, rowdy chuckles poured out the swinging doors of the opera house, that notorious dive in Tombstone. But nobody gave a damn that a young woman was being hauled behind the barn. Her sister Riley let out one piercing yell. It got silenced quick by a pistol butt. The stench of bourbon and body odor hung thick in the sweltering air. A fella in a dark vest bent low, his spurs digging into the muck next to her face. "Your kin swore an oath to me," he murmured low, "and when a man shatters his word, his blood pays the price." Lila raised her gaze. "Please," she breathed, her words faint as a breeze. "Don't hurt him." The outlaw flashed an icy smirk, one that never reached his eyes. "That all hinges on you, darlin'." He flung a worn saddle down right in front of her. Dust billowed up. The hide was weathered and split, branded with the letters J.M. She couldn't fathom why it signified anything, but this brute sure did. His handle was Buck Slade, and he'd amassed his riches hijacking payroll coaches and greasing palms of sheriffs who averted their gaze. His mouth twisted when he talked, like he savored the tang of another's terror already. "Pilch this saddle," he ordered her, from a rancher called Jack Harlan. "You pull that off, your brother strolls away scot-free. Botch it, and he's just bleached bones in Sagebrush Gulch." Slade leered, that vicious curl yanting at his lips. "Clock's ticking now." Lila's chest heaved as memories of her brother flooded in. Finn had shown her how to fire a six-shooter out back of their pa's shed. Always drilling, never put faith in outsiders. Kin's all that counts. That recollection scorched, like the sun baking her skin right then, 'cause family was the sole cause she'd nodded to this insanity. That evening, the sisters huddled behind the fence of a forsaken spread just beyond Tombstone. The pony stamped uneasy, picking up the dread that soaked the night. They carried no iron, no scheme, just a frantic prayer that a pair of gals could hoodwink a killer who erased anyone who talked. When Jack Harlan crested into sight on horseback, they went rigid. He was grayer than they'd pictured, wide in the chest, his mug etched with weather and quiet years. A hombre who'd stared down every treachery life through and come out breathing. His mare, Sage, bore the weathered ranger saddle, the one hiding a mystery they hadn't a clue about yet. Lila's fingers shook as she grabbed the straps. Riley murmured a plea she didn't truly hold anymore. Way off in the woods, a hoot owl wailed once, shrill and lonesome. If they swiped from this stranger, they could rescue their brother. But if the treasure tucked in that saddle was what Slade hungered for, would freeing Finn cost them their very spirits? Or yank the whole lot into a feud nobody escaped alive? The saddle weighed more than she'd figured. The straps groaned in her unsteady grip as she wrestled it up onto the horse. Every rustle boomed too loud. Every heartbeat stretched eternal. Riley hissed, "Move it before he returns." But Jack Harlan had hunted wolves long enough to sense prowlers near his corral. He glided like a specter in their wake, silent, watchful, eyeing how the moon lit up two interlopers who seemed more terrified than threatening. His opening words weren't a growl. They came steady, almost weary. "You gals turned around?" Lila went statue still. Riley pivoted, real slow, palms up. Then a pony whinnied. The reins gave way. The saddle crashed down with a heavy thump. Spooked, Riley staggered backward. Her heels snagged a gnarled root. She hit the ground hard on her shoulder. The noise she made was half sob, half snarl. Jack lunged ahead, instinct kicking in. She scrambled to flee, but his fingers clamped her wrist. Solid, but gentle. "Hold still," he soothed. Her breath caught. "Hold still. It throbs something fierce." He sensed the socket popped loose, knew that agony all too well. Wordless, he eased his palm beneath her elbow, raised her arm deliberate and slow, let the bones click home. It sounded muffled, not a snap, but she sucked wind like a bolt struck her.
Riley gasped, tears streaming, then gawked up at him, torn between gratitude and a swing. "Who put you up to this?" he pressed. Silence. Lila just glared at the earth, chin quivering. Jack's gaze fell to the saddle, spotted the sliced seams along the edge. Beneath the flap, a glint snagged the campfire's flicker. A tiny brass key tumbled into the soil. He scooped it, rolled it 'tween his fingers, and froze solid. The engraving spelled FNB 47. That code hit him like a gut punch. Boone's mark. Boone, the lawman he'd failed to pull from the fire. The gents whose rig he rode daily now. Jack eyed the sisters again, tone hushed but rock steady. "Where'd you snag this key?" Lila cracked then. Her tale spilled in hitches. Choked sobs mingled with fury. How their brother was captive in a lumber mill by Sagebrush Gulch. How Slade vowed to end him unless they fetched this saddle. And how they'd pegged Jack for just another cowhand. When she rapped, quiet stretched thick. Jack flipped the key skyward once, snagged it mid-air, then ambled to the blaze. He held his tongue a spell. Finally, "You rustled from the worst fella, but the best one to beg mercy from." Riley blinked hard. "You'll stand with us?" Jack peered into the embers. "Not on your account," he said soft. "For Boone, for honor." The sisters traded glances, wondering if they'd dodged doom or chained to something darker. 'Cause whatever that key unlocked, it weren't no mere safe. It was the gateway to every dirty secret outlaws had slaughtered to seal, and now Jack Harlan gripped it tight. Would cracking it redeem 'em all, or torch every damn thing left in the dark ridges? That little brass key rested twixt 'em, snaring the fire's gleam like it trapped daylight within. Folks stayed mum a while. The sisters huddled tight, eyes haunted and pleadin', bracin' if the elder'd rat 'em out or ride alongside. Jack stirred the flames with a twig, methodical, ponderin'. "FNB 47, he muttered. Boone was huntin' something huge when he vanished. He'd trailed with Boone ages back, scoutin' for the Pony Express. Reckoned this was the prize. Riley knit her brow. "Boone bein' who?" Jack lifted his stare, eyes shadowed deeper than the ravine yonder. "A pard I owed, gone 'cause I showed 30 minutes tardy." The breeze sighed through the branches like restless spirits. He arose, slapped dust from his duster, and cinched sage anew. "Pack up, you're riding with me." Lila wavered. "To bust this key open 'fore the devil claims it?" Riley winced, cradling her arm. "You're loco, old-timer. Slade'll slaughter us." Jack cracked a lopsided grin. "He'll give it a go. That's something else." By dawn's first blush creeping the bluff, they spurred toward Tombstone. The burg stirred lazy, brew fumes twisting from stovepipes, clop of heels and cart rims churning the dawn haze. Jack tugged his brim low, one mid on the saddle pouch. Lila sidled near, murmuring, "How we know you're square?" "You don't, just know they ain't." At the First National Bank, the teller glanced up from his books, peering wary. Jack set the key on the oak. "Box 47, unlock it." The fella faltered. "You the holder?" Jack's glare said plenty. The clerk gulped, bobbed his head, ushered him rearward. Into the vault, the chill bit heavier, thicker. The clerk spun the dial, hinges creaked wide. Nestled inside, a slim ledger, swathed in oiled canvas. Jack fished it free, brushed the grit off, cracked it wide. Roster of handles, timelines, bribes, and one scrawled doubled in crimson, Sheriff Cole Vance. Riley sucked air. "That's the badge." Jack's rasp cut gravel. "Nah, that's to rot." He ripped the leaf detailing a payoff set for midnight by Sagebrush Gulch. Slade's play. "We snuffed this smart, it's done." Lila scowled, and dumb, Jack grinned bleak. Then we craft one held a yarn for the grave. Outdoors thunder grumbled distant, sky still blue, but it rumbled like the ridges themselves cautioning, pry a portal like that, it slammed shut nevermore. So, partner, before we thunder into Sagebrush Gulch, draw a long breath, nurse that coffee, and spill where you're tuned in from. And if you're hanging with me still, smack that subscribe, 'cause the true tempest of this yarn's fixin' to unleash. By the hour they hit Sagebrush Gulch, the sun dipped behind the pines, air thick with storm scent hanging heavy. Jack warned the sisters, stick tight, mouths shut. The stream trickled shallow that season, but its murmur masked their tread through the high weeds toward the abandoned mill. Lanterns glowed faint in the gloom. Roughnecks prowled the lean-tos, growls harsh, jingle of bottles and rowels faint off. Lila spied her brother first, Finn lashed to a stump, battered, chin slumped. The view wrenched her gut till breath burned. Jack hunkered near, gaze pinned on the sprawl. Slade's waiting on the key, he breathed. We hand him a surprise. Riley leaned in. Like what? Jack delved his pouch, hauled a pint cask, labeled chipped. Flares, army surplus. They blaze fierce, roar wild, gone quick. He drawled it calm-like, the voice of a man who'd sparked deadlier. When the shooting erupted, it weren't Jack drawing first. One of Slade's crew glimpsed a shadow in the brush, then bedlam. Slugs chewed bark, steeds reared shrieking. The sisters hit dirt while Jack answered fire. Cool, true shots. Each pull dropped a goon nearer the pyre. Lila bellied to the post where Finn was dangled. She sawed the cords with a snapped blade, hissing his name over and over till his lids fluttered. Weak, but kicking. Riley snatched a ditched repeater, shielding him fierce, like fate carved her for it. Then Jack locked eyes, Slade atop the shanty steps, cigar, ember, pulsating crimson in shadow. You oughta sat this out, Harlan. Jack squeezed once, grazed an inch shy, the round whip Slade's hat clean off. I ain't my way, Jack called. He struck a lucifer, lobbed it in the trail of black powder, and earth quaked. The boom weren't lethal, but it flared the dark like Hades split wide. Thugs bolted. Jack scooped Finn, Lila, Riley. They bolted for the ponies for the blaze licked the flaps astern. The outpost roared against the midnight vault, and first time that night, Jack let his lip quirk, a quiet win he owned free. Boon, he whispered. Debts squared. They pushed till the inferno faded to a smear past the rise, rode through the witching hour and into midday for the outpost banner crested the knoll. Lila eyed him, gazed bright past the soot. It through? Jack scanned eastward, where Tombstone's lamps winked afar. He murmured, Not quite. One viper lingers to skin. 'Cause back in Tombstone, Sheriff Vance lurked, scheming none that'd greet sunrise alive. Daybreak crawled lazy over the shadowed peaks. Heaven shifted charcoal to amber. Haze from Sagebrush Gulch ghosted twixt the firs. Jack led, Sage sure-footed, sisters and Finn trailing. Nary a word passed, too bone-weary, too scraped raw, still doubtin' sanctuary real. When they pulled up at Fort Hale, sun rode high, breeze fresh again. A scatter of troopers gawked as they rolled in, stunned by the ragged bunch. Jack swung down, strode direct to command, clutching the canvas-wrapped tome. The post captain, grizzled past Jack, paged it silent. His mug blanched looking up. Vance, we banked on that snake. Jack dipped his head. No more.
About an hour on, irons rattled the compound. Sheriff Cole Vance dragged in, Peeper's bug spewing venom. Bellerin' frame up, Jack's lies. But Boone's ledger sang different, and swift justice righted true. Done deal, Jack stepped porch side, doffed his hat. Lila sidled up, sling cradling her limb. "You could 'a' ditched us yonder," she said gentle. Jack mustered a tired smirk, the sort born of endless trails and scant shut-eye. "Sure, but then I'd still square with Boone. Had my fill of tollies for one go-round." Riley chuckled from the stoop, mugging Java. "You certain it's us trailin' you ain't worn you thin?" Jack met her look, eyes warm. "Maybe both, kid." They lingered as gusts swept from the heights, hauling pine tang and damp soil. Lila gazed horizonward where rays kissed treetops. "What's next for you?" Jack tracked the trail snaking fort-bound. Same path hauled him across 1,000 dust-ups and home. "Keep drifting," he said. "Always one more bird crying for mending, one more heart needing a rescue." Then his tone softened, eyeing her. "But maybe this time I ain't solo in the saddle." They never dredged Slade's remains from the gulch, but some scores don't rot quiet. The scene could dissolve right there. Before it does, let me pose this. How many of us towed a burden like Jack's? A loose end dangling, a soul we never lifted, a hard truth we dodged too late. Maybe the morrow from these shadowed ridges ain't about lead or loot. Maybe it's about appearing, summoning grit to hold firm where the rest scatter. 'Cause showing tardy claims a life sometimes. Making it timely flips the whole damn tale. So, if you've been bucking your own gale lately, haul a deep lungful, top off that mug, and whisper where you're hearing this from. And if this yarn tugged your heartstrings, thumb that like, pass it to a pal needing fire tonight. Don't sleep on subscribing so you catch my next jaunt through the untamed frontier of lost wanderers. 'Cause every tale we spin reels one stray rider home.